so much for being here. It's good to get back to our regular cadence with the weekly Wednesday briefings, and so that is the intent again this morning. I do want to start off with just in the spirit of gratitude on behalf of myself, on behalf of my daughter, on behalf of my father-in-law, on behalf of my family. Just thank you. Thank you to the public for your support, expressions of condolences, calls, the text messages, the mentions, the flowers, the prayers. It really goes on and on. They were felt, seen, and it helped me in ways that I would not have imagined. And of course, really with the unimaginable. And so I just, all I can say is thank you. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm able to respond to those text messages and respond to those emails, respond to all of the support that was rendered to me. So I'm in the process of doing that, and hopefully sooner rather than later, you and those who extended condolences and sympathies to me and my family, you will hear from us directly as well. And I really appreciate you all in terms of the media, the way that you respected my husband's life, respected his contributions to society, to this city, and I appreciate that. I really do. And as the first gentleman, and it's like, wow, he was not only the first gentleman, but he was the first gentleman. And I wanted to make sure that he was respected in that manner from start to finish in regards to laying him to rest. And I do believe with everything in me that he is resting in God's eternal peace. I believe that. And as I mentioned on yesterday, you know, his passing has just restored my faith and hope in the resurrection, but also in regards to not getting weary in well-doing. So it was more of a recommitment for myself in public service, and one that my family as a whole has been committed to in this community, and quite frankly, wherever we are. I can speak for myself on that. Now, business at hand. I always start with public safety and year-to-date stats, and using the preliminary data always from the New Orleans Police Department. And I'm starting through August 26th, comparing 2023 to 2022. Continue again to show progress. Total crimes against persons remain down at 18%. Murders are down 24%. Armed robberies remain down 31%. Non-fatal shooting incidents remain down 15%. Non-fatal shooting victims remain down at 17%. And carjackings remain down at 43%. Now, looking at August stats, comparing August, specifically August 23 with the year of 22, it just also demonstrates how our proactive and innovative strategies and approaches to curbing gun violence, that we're moving in the right direction. I pull it all the way back to August and July of last year, taking the time to go to every single roll call, listening to my platoon, boots on the ground, and also with leadership. As a result of that, we've put in sound practices, policies, and continue from the former police chief to the current interim police chief, and wanting to continue the progress that continues to be demonstrated. Total crimes against persons down 20%, murders are down 61%. Again, looking at August 23 compared to August of 2022. Non-fatal shooting victims 21% down, armed robberies 26%, and looking at vehicular burglaries specifically 43% down. Analyzing crime data for each month of 23 also shows our progress in decreasing crime rates across the city of New Orleans. The month of August had the fewer vehicle burglaries. Remember, this has always been something that has been at the top of the list in terms of percentages. And so seeing fewer vehicle burglaries and auto thefts proves that we are on the right track. As I always say, it doesn't mean that we have not experienced or our people haven't experienced being victims of crime in the city of New Orleans. So definitely do not want to overlook that and want to continue to be empathetic as well as supportive relative on the victim side and ensuring that justice prevails. Summer heat. As you know, excessive heat we've seen on earth, but also in the city of New Orleans. You know, on August the 8th, I did declare an emergency declaration that was then followed by our governor, John Bell Edwards, that also unlocked additional resources, you know, for us to respond in a timely manner to what we're seeing on the ground. Any significant power utility disruption while under extreme heat conditions, as you know and as we've been saying, will likely greatly increase the danger of injury or death to our public, to our community. So again, wanting to stay focused on this, not taking it lightly at all. I want to encourage residents to continue to visit weatherwise.nola.gov to find localized updates on weather conditions where you live in the city of New Orleans. Parts of Louisiana, as you know, we're saying due to this extreme heat, of course including New Orleans, are 20 inches below their average amount of rainfall. Now, it's interesting when I talk about the lack of rainfall, but then it also reminds me over a year ago when I'm talking about we have the most rainfall that this city has seen, which only speaks to how conditions are just in flux throughout, again, being on the front lines of climate change. 4,508 acres have burned in August alone in our state. And over 740 wildfires have burned so far this year. These fires, we know, have caused millions of dollars of damage. And so what we are doing, and following really the lead, we know that due to the extreme heats, the State Fire Marshal as well as the Agricultural Forestry Commissioner has said that, hey, we have to cease any private burnings that are happening within the state. And of course, private burning shall be allowed only allowed by the permission of the local fire authority. So again, working directly with my chief on the ground, Chief Nelson, and local government. So as we look at this and look at what's happening across the state and moving into a holiday weekend, we do not anticipate saying to our residents that you can't have a barbecue and the like. So striking up or firing up your barbecue pits and the like is something that we will allow, but of course we want to discourage. Again, what's happening is real. Also, from my public safety meeting on Monday, I have authorized the use of our people, our greatest assets to the city of New Orleans, to therefore be utilized at the approval now of my chiefs, but to be utilized to help other parts of the state fight these fires. And so that's something that I've made very clear to my team on Monday. And what's happening now, the chiefs are going through and really working with the men and women associated with our public safety teams, and will determine who is eligible, who wants to go forward and help. And so as we develop the real complement in terms of who will go, we'll let you know about that. But New Orleans, we're always focusing on how we can also help our brothers and sisters across the state, but even, you know, as it relates to across this country. We know what's happening in Florida. We're not taking it lightly at all. Again, it could be us, and so our hearts, our focus, our prayers, and also in our ability to respond and to help, we will absolutely do that. Shifting gears a little bit. Now, on today at 1 o'clock, you know, I will host an official launch of a new graffiti abatement program. It was one that we created, almost feels like a year ago. But we've been working on, and it's been a hallmark, I would say, of my administration of wanting to clean this city up. Free it from litter, free it from, of course, graffiti, and any type of trash and debris that gets in our people's eyes. We want to ensure that this city is clean and it is vibrant, and it is one demonstrating that we are a place and a destination not only to visit but one to live and to do business as it relates to the economic growth of this city. So we're going to be targeting the most severe instances as it relates to buildings throughout the city, and or wherever graffiti is found, we're wanting to tackle it. But of course, wanting to start with the most egregious areas in the city. So I'm excited about that. Also, I wanted to just speak about a couple things. My administration just continues to take bold action and demonstrate true leadership, especially relative to Plaza Tower, pushing back 100% against the Inspector General, the IG, who released a report on August the 21st, claiming code enforcement has not placed enough enforcement actions relative to Plaza Tower. I pushed back 100% simply because this administration has been the administration over the history, over 30 years of that building being in the condition that we've had to live with for this time. We're the first to levy and find judgment relative to Plaza Tower, and we will continue to not only hold the ownership accountable, but work with ownership. If it was so easy to redevelop, we wouldn't be sitting here with Plaza Tower again in the community, in our city right now. So we know with balance, everything will get done, and this is how we're taking this approach. Again, we're wanting to ensure the city is asking the owner to repay over $90,000 for the cost of barricades as well as lost revenue associated with Plaza Tower. And this is also aligned with the meters being closed around this particular area. However, again, the owner's attorney has said the exact amount owed to the city will be determined in the upcoming weeks, and the judge has pretty much stated this as well. So we are going to follow the judgments that are set, that come out of, again, from holding the property owners accountable, but again, working with ownership every step of the way. Code enforcement, just again touching on that, brought Plaza Tower to a hearing as early as November of 2021, got 11 guilty findings from that hearing of $4,200. We know fines occurred. However, the case, again, was appealed to the Civil District Court, putting the process on hold. This is why you have to work with, and things are even more complicated at times than they seem. But we're working through the complications in order to, again, assure balance, accountability, and at the end of the day, we want Plaza Tower back into commerce. We want it back on the tax rolls, and we want it to reach its fullest potential in our city. As I mentioned again, just in constant communications with the ownership. And the city remains unwavering in our commitment to fight blight in our city, reduce violent crime, clean up our communities, and of course, as I mentioned, bring properties back into commerce. We've seen over 90 properties this year as of August the 28th. We're putting the resources where they need to be placed. We have gotten the approval, of course, by the New Orleans City Council for these budget allocations, and of course $10 million invested in code enforcement, and we're seeing the results of that, and we are hiring. So that's something that we're always wanting to push out. But this puts code enforcement on track again to surpass 2022 stats by nearly 30%. Nothing to shake a stick at all. You want some water?
I got some.
Oh, okay. That's a funk shui up in here. I haven't seen you in a minute.
Sorry.
So, summer employment, I wanted to touch on that. I'm going to turn it over to John in a minute. But before I do, summer youth employment. Okay, so on yesterday, we know that the City Council had a committee hearing on this matter. You know that the administration leadership was present and accounted for at that hearing. We also learned, of course, and we demonstrated that more and more youth, as we work through the challenges that were presented, that more and more are getting their pay. We will ensure that 100% of our young people that offered and rendered services to the City of New Orleans through our Summer Youth Employment Program will be paid. One thing that I remain very much proud of the fact that we have been able to really hire more than we've ever done before. That's come with challenges, of course, but again, giving our young people the experience, giving them the opportunity was the priority and just continues to be that priority. And the increase in the number of young people that we were able to provide this opportunity was nearly at 120%. So again, nothing to shake a stick at. Of course, 98% of our young people were paid on time, but again, that doesn't excuse nor overlook the fact that some were not, and we are making sure that that happens, and we're committed to doing so. I also just wanted to end on this. I'm excited. Normally, I have on my NASA pin. I couldn't find it this morning. That's I couldn't find it. I wanted to wear it simply because I've been pushing very heavily NASA, showing and demonstrating that it has a place in this city. Of course, NASA Mishu. But I wanted that to be front and center whether you were flying out of Louis Armstrong International or flying into, for people to see that STEM, that science, that engineering, that NASA is in the city of New Orleans, and the impact that it's having not only here, has a greater impact nationally and even globally. But it is something that we should be proud about, and something that I'm just happy. We'll have more about this, but just seeing the interactive display under construction at MSY is something that I'm very proud of. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, John. Take some water, and we'll get into Q&A.
Again, one question I want to follow up, because I know we got a lot to get through, starting with Travers with the issue.
First, let me offer my condolences for your husband. Can you talk about the police chief search? Have you made a selection? And then can you just walk us through the process so far? Has it been somewhat of a frustrating one, dealing with everything you had to deal with?